I am Dr. Nidhi Khare. Now, students, as you already know that creative problem solving, or CPS as we call it in short, is a key idea generation technique. Currently, though better service quality is important, it is not enough on its own. Without combining it with innovation and creativity, one cannot expect to achieve lasting success at the international level. Now, in today's lecture, you'll learn some important aspects about CPS, like definition, about the Osborne-Parnes CPS, and the stages and some techniques of CPS. So coming to the definition, in simple words, creative problem solving may be defined as a problem solving technique that addresses a challenge or problem in a creative manner. The solution is creative because it is not obvious. To meet the criteria for solving a problem in a creative manner, the solution should resolve the declared problem in an original manner, with the solution being reached independently. This idea generation strategy usually incorporates a team approach. This is owing to the fact that people inside the workplace are allowed to engage in the process of change in their research for creative solutions. Coming to the more specific use of the term creative problem solving, it refers to the trademark Osborne-Parnes CPS process of creative problem solving, rather creatively solving the problems. I have already discussed about this process in detail in my previous lecture on CPS. Now, the difference between this process and other CPS strategies is that there is utilization of both convergent and divergent thinking in the course of each process step, and not only when coming up with ideas to fix the problem. Each step starts with divergent thinking, an extensive search for multiple alternatives. After this comes convergent thinking that involves evaluating and selecting. Now, coming to the stages of creative problem solving. There are 6 stages in the Osborne-Parnes process of creative problem solving. Here the 6 stages are described with I'm going to describe these 6 stages with examples of questions for some of the stages to stimulate your thinking. And these questions will also give you a better understanding of the stage. So these 6 stages are objective finding, fact finding, problem finding, idea finding, solution finding, and acceptance finding. Objective finding. Pinpointing the challenge or goal and delineating your preferred output is the basis of the CPS strategy. At times, people pay no heed to certain essential aspects about the problem or take something for granted to solve it rapidly. This causes an obscurement of the thought process, and the person fails to take note of the big picture. Delineating the goal or objective provides a lucid idea pertaining to the problem that facilitates the investigation of various possible solutions to it. Now, the question here is, what bottlenecks or barriers exist? Another question, what is it that you wish to be better organized? So when you find answer to this question, you'll be able to understand better what is the objective. So you need to find the objective. Next, fact finding. Collecting information pertaining to the problem and associated data is essential for comprehending the problem. At this stage, make a list of key details such as what and who is involved, assumptions and perceptions, viewpoints of interested parties, feelings and facts, and so on, so that you may begin the process of crafting ideas. Now you need to answer the questions like who should be or who is already involved? Why doesn't or why does it happen? Third, problem finding. Using the problem objective and gathered data as a basis, determine possible challenges that may come about and the possible opportunities that are present inside it. This would assist you with concentrating on the problem. It is so simple to move your attention away from the aim and to come up with answers to the incorrect problems. Here you need to ask questions or you need to answer questions like what is the actual problem? What is the key objective? And this way you'll be able to find the problem. Next, idea finding. Reusing a solution when we come across a problem that we possibly encountered before is a very easy process. Our mind detects conceptual blocks that compromise hurdles such as commitment, complacency, compression, and constancy. These hinder us from thinking creatively and from developing fresh concepts or ideas. Therefore, students, it is essential to investigate, it is important to brainstorm and to determine as many probable solutions as you can find. Fifth, solution finding. After you have done with coming up with new ideas and noting down probable solutions in list fashion, assess them to determine whether they meet your specification for success and can be executed. Improvise, reinforce, and select the best idea. Make sure that the solutions are not only creative but also useful. At times, willpower is the sole solution. Now you need to ask questions like, will it work? Are the technology and materials available? And this way you'll be able to find the solution. Lastly, acceptance finding. You have selected the best probable solution that is both actionable and satisfies the requirements for success. Now the next thing to do is to plan your steps for action by lucidly describing responsibilities and determining the best method to utilize the available resources. This calls for action that you put out should be comprehended by all associated with the problem-solving process so that it becomes an acceptable solution. So I hope all these stages are clear to you. If you understand these stages, you will be able to implement these stages and effectively solve the problem creatively. Coming to some techniques of creative problem solving. Synectics, TRIZ methodology, brainstorming, mind mapping, reversal of problem, to look beyond something's common function, lateral thinking, and SCAMPER. These are some of the techniques of creative problem solving, and I am going to take each one in detail here. Now, Synectics is usually classified as a creative problem solving technique along with brainstorming and lateral thinking. This problem solving methodology inspires thought processes that the subject might not be aware of. The credit for developing the technique that had its beginning in the 1950s in the author D. Little Invention Design Unit goes to George M. Prince and William J.J. Jordan. The process was gathered from tape-recorded meetings, assessment of the outcomes, and from experiments with other methods of coping with the barriers to achievements in the meeting. The term Synectics has its origins from the Greek language and means the combining of different and supposedly irrelevant elements. Though Synectics is a trademarked name, it has turned into a standard word for delineating creative problem solving that takes place in groups. This idea generation approaches problem solving and creativity in a rational manner. In Gordon's approach, Synectics research has to do with three key assumptions. These assumptions are: it is possible to describe and teach the creative process. Second, invention processes in science and arts are analogous and propelled by the same psychic processes. And third, creativity at the level of individual and group is analogous. So in short, if people comprehend the working of creativity, they can improve their ability to be creative. The next technique is TRIZ methodology. TRIZ, or TIPS, Theory of Inventive Problem Solving, was created by a generic Altshuler and his co-workers. It is a Russian method of problem solving. This strategy is meant to cultivate the creation of patentable inventions. However, the technique is also helpful for developing non-product solutions. In the beginning, following the invention of bulletproof glass, a trade-off happened. Though the glass would prevent the bullet from entering, the former would crack to such an extent that the vision of the pilot or driver behind the glass would be obscured. TRIZ has a considerable list of principles for settling trade-offs. In this particular case, the pertinent principle was segmentation, for which the solution was to create a huge pane of glass from smaller panes. This was to ensure that the cracks were limited to the one small pane. If you are capable of articulating your trade-off, the chances are high that TRIZ has methods to triumph over it that have proved successful with respect to other problems. Third technique is brainstorming. Brainstorming is an individual or group activity by which attempts are made to determine a conclusion for a particular problem by collecting a list of ideas that its members spontaneously contributed. Next technique is mind mapping. This creativity technique both reframes the situation and cultivates creativity. A mind map is a representation of concepts and ideas in a graphical manner. This visual thinking tool assists with structuring information, assisting with better analysis, synthesis, comprehension, recall, and engendering of new ideas. The power of the mind map is traceable to its simplicity. Next technique is reversal of problem. This approach is about coming up with ideas to solve problems by way of a different or opposite perspective, like turning it around, upside down, inside out, or back to front. Next, look beyond something's common function. Split an object into all its individual parts. If you have a description suggesting a function, just like the function of a prong is transporting electricity, you need to describe it in a more generic manner by way of shape, size, and the makeup of the material. Makeup of the material here means like a rectangular, flat, small piece of metal. Now, if you call an item an electric plug prong, the description may conceal the fact that the item could also turn into a screwdriver if required. Here's an example of looking beyond a things' common function. Imagine that the passengers of the luxury liner Titanic had considered the iceberg to be a huge floating surface instead of an object that hits ships. If they had thought so, perhaps many lives could have been saved by using the ship as a lifeboat, because the iceberg would not sink. Next, lateral thinking. Lateral thinking is a manner of thinking that looks for a solution to an obstinate issue through unorthodox elements or methods that would usually be disregarded by logical thinking. To be more precise, lateral thinking may be defined as a way to solve problems by a creative or indirect approach, utilizing reasoning that may not be obvious straight away, or incorporating ideas that cannot be gathered by utilizing only conventional step-by-step logic. The term was coined by Edward de Bono, a foremost creative practitioner, in 1967. De Bono created two different models pertaining to creativity thinking. These models were parallel thinking and lateral thinking. Parallel thinking has to do with pondering over an issue in a single state of mind at a time, as against confusing ourselves to process several issues differently in a single go. Now, coming back to lateral thinking, the concept makes you realize that coming up with breakthrough ideas doesn't necessarily have to spring from a shotgun effort or luck. The method provides a systematic and, most importantly, deliberate process for which the outcome is innovative thinking. Creative thinking is no talent, but rather a learnable skill. It empowers those who adopt it by strengthening their natural abilities, which enhances innovation and creativity, and which in turn leads to a boost in efficiency and profit. Challenge, alternatives, and provocation and movement are examples of lateral thinking techniques. Last techniques that I'm mentioning here is SCAMPER. The basis for SCAMPER, SCAMPER, is the belief that everything new is a variation of something already in existence. SCAMPER is an acronym, and each letter indicates a different method by which the person can toy around with the features of whatsoever it is that is challenging him to come out with new ideas. The letters and their full forms are mentioned here for your understanding. S stands for substitute, C stands for combine, A stands for adapt, M for magnify, P stands for put to other uses, E stands for eliminate, and R for rearrange. Now, to utilize the SCAMPER technique, you need to start by stating the problem you wish to solve or the thought you wish to develop. This thought or idea can be anything, like a product, a process or service you wish to improve, a challenge in business or other problem. And once you have identified the challenge, you need to come up with questions. Utilize the SCAMPER checklist for guidance. Here's a sample. S. What to substitute in my process of selling? C. How do I blend selling with other activities? Or rather, how do I combine selling with other activities? A. What to copy or adapt the selling process of another person or company? M. What do I put more weight on or magnify when selling? P. What other uses can I put my selling to? E. What do I eliminate or make easier in my process of selling? And R. How do I change, reverse or reorder my manner of selling? With the help of these questions, you are pushed to a different viewpoint with respect to your problem, and you ultimately come up with original solutions. Whether at business or in your personal life, creative problem solving can help you see aspects and solutions that you may never have realized when you only permitted your mind to move the conventional way. So students, embrace it. Now in this last slide, I have included all the references for all the videos on creative thinking, innovation, and creative problem solving. Thank you.